Well, I am back to talk about Big Brother 24, this toilet bowl cast. And this cast ain't a regular toilet bowl. This cast is in the porta potty. This will likely be my last update of the week until like Friday, unless something major happens on a game level these next 2 days and not a drama level. Because on a game level, nothing's really happening. Before we get to a little bit of game talk, we'll talk about Paloma, the big deal going around that she's losing her mind or that she's coming off of drugs and having withdrawals. She is something. Yeah, I don't know. Paloma's been saying weird shit. She feels like she's in Inception. She feels like this experiment is like she's not in control of her own mind. It's very weird. I don't know if it's sleep deprivation, but first of all, I will say this does not take away from her problematic shit that she's done over these past few days. But I mean, this season's already having so many bad parallels to Big Brother 21 that I would not be surprised if Big Brother casted somebody else that was addicted to drugs, like Jackson in Big Brother 21, and now we have somebody else having withdrawals, losing it, and even basically saying they're going to cheat during slop, something else Jackson did. So, yeah, very, very strange that this is the direction we once again find ourselves in. It's actually not that strange. It's pretty predictable from this production team, as I've been saying.
God is player 17 in this. That's why I'm like, it's a dream. Yeah. Because like God's player 17 for sure. He's like talking to me at this point. He's all the tea bags I read. He sends me messages. Now I'm not even phased. I'm like, okay, we're like on the same NFL team at this point. He's like, okay, this is gonna be the next.
Is that your Belichick and your Tom Brady?
Yeah, no, literally. I'm like, he's like, yo, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do that.
But let's talk a little bit about some of the strategies that have been going on, or lack thereof in this case. I talked about Brittany talking too much a couple videos ago, and here we are. Brittany's motor mouth has gotten her in trouble because she told Pooch something that she heard in a conversation from Paloma and Jasmine. And Pooch went and basically told Amira what was said. So people are already talking, although one of the stupid things from these guys, the reason Monty is being blasted everywhere, and rightfully so, is he got so upset with Taylor and still is upset with Taylor because she basically warned him that some of the girls seemed to be plotting against the guys and he should talk to Paloma because she seems to have a good grasp, or she seems to be like one of the leaders of the girls. But Monty took that as Taylor causing drama, Taylor lying about Paloma, even though she wasn't lying. And of course, Monty never actually went to go check back up on that on Taylor and just believed Paloma over Taylor. And that is where things started spiraling out of control for Taylor. I mean, people obviously joined in, and the microaggressions have been ridiculous. But that was a guy getting a warning from one of the girls and then just dismissing it. This happens now again with Pooch. One of the girls trying to work with him, but he goes to the other girls and rats her out, even though it was actually accurate information. So the guy's as dumb as you would expect. But then we have this girls alliance, what seems like girls get out girls alliance, because now they're of course upset with Brittany, and all they keep saying that they're going to get a guy out of the house next if Taylor goes. And yet they're kind of setting up Brittany to be the next person to go because Amira and Jasmine are upset with her, and they also don't seem to connect with Indy, so they want her gone sooner rather than later. So basically, so far, this is the kind of strategy we're getting. It's very basic, bad strategy from this cast. I guess it's to be expected with the kinds of people that they casted. Indy is probably the least problematic person so far. It isn't Michael or Brittany, who, like I said in the last video, joined in on all the shit talking to try and fit in, even though it clearly didn't work. Indy hasn't actually said anything bad or microaggression towards Taylor this entire time, and she's the only one. But Indy is here for a good time, not a long time, because she doesn't seem to want to really strategize all that much either. I mean, she was talking about to some of the girls how they should keep Taylor this week if they're really supposed to be working with the girls, but these dumbass girls, that all falls on deaf ears. I will say, though, with the Pooch situation, now, because Amira basically confronted Brittany about that information getting back to Pooch, basically saying only a few people were in that conversation, so they kind of alluded to knowing that it was Brittany that told Pooch this information. But now, because of that, Brittany and Michael know they can't trust Pooch because he's going to go and spread that information. He's a leaker. And Daniel remains to be a complete piece of shit, to be honest. I'm so tired of this ugly-haired idiot with no spine. I mean, I've already talked about how Daniel putting up Terrence was a dumb decision because he's one of the other old people on the cast, and they got along night one. Terrence, Daniel, and Nicole all kind of talked about working together because they're the oldest players. But then Daniel puts him on the block, whether it's a pun or not. Daniel doesn't have all these connections in the house, even though he's HOH, so doing that was stupid in the first place. He puts up Michael because he sees Michael as an outsider as well. But, Daniel, he's 6'3". He thinks he fits in with all these younger bros because he's 6'3", and Monty hypes that up. And then all this shit happens with Taylor. Daniel joins in on all the microaggressions, takes it way too far, saying things like if it was on the outside of this house, acting like he would get violent with Taylor, saying that he would lock everybody in the HOH and keep her downstairs because he's believing all this shit. He, like I talked about yesterday with Monty basically giving him a pass on all of this shit because Daniel's scared of putting up the two black players in the very first round on his HOH. He should have probably listened to his gut because his name's been dragged through the mud on social media, on news outlets, and rightfully so, because then he makes a comment how from the first time he saw Taylor, he knew she was going to be trouble. And yet, of course, after talking all that shit, acting like she's going to explode, Taylor gets put on the block and does nothing of the sort. And now, after one of his excuses to putting up Taylor is that, well, Monty basically made him feel comfortable in that. Now Daniel's kind of turned on Monty, seeming to want Monty to be one of the next, if not the next person to go. So Daniel's racial bias is pretty clear to me, in my opinion, because his strategy makes no sense. He has no strategy. He has no real alliances. So I don't know if he's just here to really pick on the easy targets, all of the black people and the gay guy. I don't know, but Daniel sucks and deserves everything that's coming his way, quite frankly. Jasmine's another one who's just super annoying on the feeds. Her insecurities are absurd. She makes up lies to make herself feel better, tells stories that are fake. Very Raven-esque from BB19 is Jasmine with all of her lies and all of her fake stories to make herself feel better. I really cannot stand super insecure people that hate themselves but try to take it out on other people. Like, if you're that insecure, just take it out on yourself. That's the least you could fucking do. But Jasmine, just why is she in this house? What is she bringing to the table? Kyle actually has one of the better social games in the house right now, although he did join in on all the microaggressions, of course, like everybody else in the fucking house did, except for Indy. Kyle, I think, is more of a go with the flow type, and I think that's going to work for him in the first half of this game, since so many of these other people are way too in your face and in your face dumb about it. They're not just in your face thinking they know it all, but yet they're so dumb. Also want to touch upon Joseph and what a fucking idiot this guy is. He's another bro energy. another person that it was a joke but acted. I mean, if basically Pooch told him Taylor was outside of one of the doors and listening to them, even though this wasn't true. But if it had been true, Joe joked about pushing the door open very fast and hitting her, and did it. So, yeah, Joe was another fool. I would have rather have had the other person cast. Maybe that would have changed a little bit of the dynamics of this terrible house. But of course, production and casting don't know what the fuck they're doing. They casted that guy Marvin, who not only, I didn't even talk about this, not only was on America's Got Talent, but was already casted to appear on The Circle later this year. This guy's good at auditions, good on getting on shows, but Big Brother casting and production and CBS didn't catch this because this is just the kind of awful jobs that they do. Anyway, nothing really matters in this house right now. There's no real strategy going on. It's basically wait and see what this twist is on Thursday, so I can take a nice couple of day breaks unless the game actually kind of goes somewhere the next 2 days, but I don't think it's gonna.